Well, today's little humor tidbit is in honor of Ellen's grandson. And as you can see, they're not here today. Bill and Claire, their mother came to pick them up Tuesday, and they flew back to Nantucket on Wednesday. And yeah, although they wore me out, I do miss the little buggers, that's for sure. And you can't wait for them to leave, but then when they're gone, you definitely miss them. And but anyway, Bill, he was a fibber. He came here telling us little white lies, and we caught him every time. And he'd just look at you with those eyes like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And then, sure enough, Ellen has angel cards and different cards around the house, and every time he'd pick one, it'd be the truth card. And so he and when he left. The last thing he said to me, after he hugged me, he goes, "And no more lying." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, Bill. So if you didn't learn anything else, you got that." So, but this is a little ditty about a minister who told his congregation, "Next week I plan to preach about sin and lying. To help you understand my sermon, I want you all to read Mark 17." The following Sunday, as he prepared to deliver his sermon, the minister asked for a show of hands. He wanted to know how many had read Mark 17. Every hand went up. The minister smiled and said, "Mark only had 16 chapters. I will now proceed with my sermon on lying, the sin of lying." So there you go. So there you have it. But all in good fun. Well, it's, I'm going to try and tie a couple of things together here today because, and I will preface this by saying that I have heard Ellen and I are not preppers, don't get me wrong, but we do have a few supplies in case, because we do, pay attention to certain things. Ellen says it's more me than her, but, a little water, some canned goods, things like that, extra pet food, in case, there's a blip in whatever. And I said at the end of September, I'll never buy another prep item again. If there's nothing that happens, I'm done with my prepping, because it's like, okay, I've been doing this for 12 years and nothing. No, actually since 2000. So we got a lot of stuff around there. But yeah, it expires. And anyway, but this is an interesting time, and they've been talking a lot about this cosmic wave, which is very cool. And I will get into that in just a few minutes, but I want to share a little bit about the Shemitah. How many of you all have heard about the Shemitah? Don't lie. Okay. Okay, so we got not a whole lot of hands, but for some reason Ellen's really into this show on Trinity Broadcast Network. It's a doctor who talks about holistic and healthy living, and it's really actually a good show, which leads into Jim Bakker. And Jim Bakker is not exactly on the same page as this doctor, and it's all about, the end times and Jesus is coming and all, a lot of fear. And all these reasons why. Well, he recently even had he's had many people come in and speak on the Shemitah. And the Shemitah, the way that they have expressed it that I've read about and heard on these particular networks, is it's definitely a time of doom and gloom. And that the Lord is really mad because we are, we have done so many things in this country that have just really ticked him off. And the Shemitah is going to wipe us out, basically. And this is the year because it's a 7-year cycle.
Just this country?
Yeah, this country, because it comes from legalizing gay marriage to the abortion to endless things, and but God's mad, okay? So this will scare the daylights out of you, and of course Jim's probably made a small fortune selling supplies. So for $900, you can buy a month's worth of supplies from me. So anyway, but besides the fact, it's a very fearful presentation that they make. But in all fairness, they do make some points related to recent times, and that it's a 7-year cycle and that we are in the midst of it. And 7 years ago, during the Shemitah, was the financial collapse that we experienced. 7 years prior was 9/11. So certainly you can't totally deny that there is something to this. But and astrology could have things to do with it. There's a lot of messages though coming at us, and you know, I'm not here. I have no idea what's going to happen. If anything, you know, I may just have a garage full of food. I don't know at the end of the day. But whatever, you know, I decided, well, you know, let me do a little more research on the Shemitah and see what it really means. And it goes back actually thousands of years in the Jewish tradition, Jewish faith. And it says, as soon as the Jews settled in the Holy Land, they began to count and observe 7-year cycles. Every cycle would culminate in a sabbatical year known as Shemitah, literally to release. And actually, when you look at what it means, which I'm going to share with you, it's a positive thing. This is a Shemitah year, but it says that the real purpose of the Shemitah is to waive all outstanding debts. It's a purification is really what it is. It's a resting time. It also goes on to say that it's a time to give your friend a break. Now that can go on many levels. It can be if your brother has a debt to you, forgive the debt, forgive any past hurts, transgressions, anything. It's a time of forgiveness. Really, renewal is the way that I took it from this. It also says, at the end of 7 years, you will make a release, and this in the manner of release, to release the hand of every creditor from what he lent his friend. So there again, release your friends from all their debt. And as I said, take this at a deeper level of just give your brother a break and your sisters. I found this interesting, and I love this. It says, take a break from farming. For 6 years you shall sow your field, and for 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its produce. But in the 7th year the land shall have a complete rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field, you shall not prune your vineyard, and you shall not reap after growth of your harvest. And the produce of the Sabbath land shall be yours to eat for you, for your male and female servants, and for your hired workers and residents who live with you. So again, do your harvesting, rest, and share with those around you. And it says, during the Shemitah year, the residents of the land of Israel must completely desist of cultivating their fields. They also relinquish personal ownership of their fields. Whatever produce grows on its own is considered communal property, free for anyone to take. The aspect of the Shemitah year is known as the release of the land. So again, I like that idea. Reap your harvest, share, and then what's left, it's communal. This is the true Shemitah. Talks about refocusing. It says, take a breath and focus on a higher, more spiritual way of living. So to me, going back to this, I don't see where this is necessarily a negative thing. I think that, you know, the way I see what's happening is we can get all hyped up, all caught up in the drama and dig into this. And as we know, and I've said this before, when Greg Braden spoke here last time, it was right before the December 21, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar. Everybody and their brother says, Greg, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? He goes, I don't know. We haven't created it yet. And so it's about taking this into our hearts and knowing that we do have great power here to whatever seems to be coming down the pike to shift it. And so there's your Shemitah people, you know, and the people who are in fear and judgment of what's happening in our land and around the world. And Of course, I watched the debates the other night. We were in our RV, actually. Didn't have CNN on the news, but I watched it on my phone. And I found it very interesting because as I was listening to it, I said, yeah, you know, they make not total sense, but that I can buy that, and that makes sense, and that makes sense. And then you turn it, you listen to the talking heads afterwards, and you're like, nah, they're right. This doesn't make any sense, and that's not good. And then you, and the same on the other side. You know, they can sort of engage you. And I realized that, you know, as long as there's division and judgment and placing blame and condemnation and the need to attack another to make your point, I'm not really interested in that. I think it's about expressing and living by our truth and our principles in the greatest degree of love. And that's one thing I have to give Bernie Sanders credit for, not being a fan for or against him necessarily, but he did say he will not build his campaign on tearing down Hillary Clinton. And I said, wouldn't that be nice if all the candidates would just speak on their issues and speak from that place of what they believe instead of trying to shoot everyone else down. And of course that's a big level, but how do we do that in our own lives? You know, where do we have to build ourselves, tear another down to build ourselves up? You know, where are we guilty of that? And I think we can all, you know, look at that in our own lives and maybe choose another way of being. So it's, but I want to go on, and there's this, who's heard of the cosmic wave? No lying. Okay, that's cool. Well, the cosmic wave is, first of all, the cosmic wave is coming on the 28th, next Sunday. And it is also falling upon the fourth blood moon of this year. Of course, I won't even go into what they say about the blood moon, the fourth blood moon, but it sort of goes along with the fear. But on the other hand, this cosmic wave, you know, it's powerful and it's wonderful, and it's a time of great change and awakening, and that's where I choose to focus my attention and what to really pump up in my belief system. And this is from Archangel Michael. This is a message from Archangel Michael. And he goes on to say, your world is about to change in a profound way over the next 2 months as a powerful wave of gamma light is coming from the galactic core, and it will impact the Earth and all of her beings. It says that we've probably all been feeling this. You know, we've all been feeling something happening. And it's this wave. It says this super wave peaks on September 28th, which is next Sunday, and it's the highest energetic frequency ever measured in the cosmos of modern history. Is anyone feeling this besides me? You know, there's a lot of energy out there moving. And one thing I'm finding too is we had dinner with a neighbor the other night. And she picks us up driving, and she's got her hand in a sling or in a little wrist thing, and she had fallen and sprained her wrist, and then just heard that Ann Kirby slipped and sprained her ankle, and we've, you know, people are, yeah, you fell? And people are kind of out of sorts, you know. It's the energy's definitely impacting us. It's hard to focus. It's kind of, you know, a lot going on. But it's not necessarily something. We were talking to our neighbor. This is really just pay attention. You know, it's really. I love what Sandy Sullivan shares with us on Tuesday morning. She says, you know, you can choose the feather method or the 2x4 method. And if you don't get it when, you know, Spirit's trying to get our attention, it's going to hit you between the eyes until we get it. And so, you know, it's really a time of us paying attention. Our thoughts, you know, our thoughts and our feelings are manifesting quickly. So, you know, that turnaround time, we think something, we feel something, it manifests very quickly. So back to the Shemitah, it's a time of purging and healing and forgiving and living from higher consciousness. Because I believe, you know, in this time of transition and awakening that that it's going to be a lot easier. It's easier anyway, anytime, regardless if there is a wave or not, to go through when our hearts are clear, when we're in a forgiveness mode, when we are truly walking with God at the highest spiritual level, rather than this condemnation and fear and defense and attack. So it's a very, very exciting time for all of us to really be in the midst of this wave and this time of change. I'm just reading this one, sharing parts of this one article. There's gazillions of articles about this. But, the whole premise of this, or any of them, if you come from more of the higher consciousness or love consciousness perspective, it's a positive time on our planet Earth. And that when this wave comes in, the energy is going to be so powerful that it's going to lift us up to a whole new way of being. And it's no accident. You had mentioned astrology. And I'm not a big astrology person, although I believe in it. I've just never had taken much interest in studying it. But again, there are great messages coming from the stars as well. And one thing that is very interesting and timely is the Pope has landed in Cuba. He's there right now. Very interesting. I hold him as being a man of great love. He's taken a lot of risks out there. He's certainly not making several people in his community happy. And he's definitely shaken things up. And here he is. He's in Cuba on his way to New York, then to Washington. He's meeting with the UN and Congress and the president. And what is that about during this next week? I mean, wow. I'm just so excited to see what this is about. And of course, he has definitely some of the stances he's taken just recently. He's very forgiving, and he's asking the church to forgive those who have had abortions. And forgiveness does not mean I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's not about that. But forgiveness is really being willing to let go of my judgment about it. Be forgiving of all people in all situations. And this is what, I believe God's truth is. God, when I hear personally that God is angry, I'm like, really? I thank you, God. I came into this life knowing that God is total love and that God does not condemn us or judge us. And if God is jealous, really? Jealous of what? I mean, it's like you're all that is. I mean, you're the total expression of love, and you're jealous of what? I mean, if you wanted a Ferrari, you could have one. And, if whatever you want, you could have. So that to me never jived, okay? And I think that, one thing that too, also when I expressed to different people, I had the pleasure of the other night the same friend we were with, we went to Kenmure for dinner to watch a friend in the Kenmure chorus perform. And that's delightful. It's just, the seniors were up there singing Woodstock music. It was fun. But it was, and they had on tie-dyed shirts. It was really cute. It was sweet. And it was packed. I mean, total packed. And anyway, there was a fella across the table from me, and they put you at tables and you're sitting like this because it was so crowded. And sure enough, I'm sitting across from a retired Lutheran minister. Nice man. We had a nice time, and we were talking, and then as the conversation went on, I was talking about God being love, and that I choose to see the face of Christ in everybody, and my normal conversation about spirituality. And he's like, I've been in this too long to believe that way. I'm like, oh, well, I thought, and it wasn't a judgmental place necessarily, but it was more of like, wow, that's sad. that we get to a point where we don't believe in love anymore. So back to my point, that I'm so grateful that I came into this world with a knowing that God is love, and God does love all of us, and God doesn't condemn us nor judge us. And when I hear, and this is a common thing around you guys, I'm a God-fearing man, I'm a God-fearing woman. Isn't that weird? And and they hear that a lot around here. And it's like the fear of God would actually, in my belief, make me want to stay away from that instead of engage. The love of God gives me a reason to engage in God. So it's really just up to us, and please don't hear this as a judgment or condemnation on any other belief system. It's just been my experience that, I do much better when I'm feeling loved than when I'm feeling like there's something looking over my shoulder for judging me for everything I do, which I'd be in deep doo-doo, and if that was the case. So it's really this. They even say that this gamma light, this energy, is activating our DNA, which is another interesting concept. We've always been taught or led to believe that our DNA is fixed, pretty much. And, that's just another belief system. Our DNA is literally, another means of consciousness. It's what we believe. So if we don't get it, maybe this wave will help us understand that we are opening up to new DNA, new strands of being and living and transforming ourselves. I love, back in years and years ago, Deepak Chopra wrote a book, Perfect Health. A fantastic book, one of the first books I read on healing that sort of got you outside of the box. And he goes on to say that, I think at that time in that book, every 7 years your body completely restores itself. Completely. Every cell, every organ, every skin. And so my first question, well, then why do I have the same scar that I had from this accident at age 7, right? If I got new skin, but it's all belief. It's that deep-rooted subconscious belief that I'm still holding on to. So on my way over here this morning, I always love the Science of Mind, or not Science of Mind, but the Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy, half hour on the other radio station. And it's a wonderful, it's so inspiring. This woman spoke about a skin cancer that she had. And, she said that when she got this, she realized that it actually led her to become more interested in her spiritual life. So she started reading Key to the Scriptures and Healing with Mary Baker Eddy's book. And it really, of course, the book isn't real thick, it's kind of thick. So it's not a heavy duty book, but the point, and usually whoever's on the show refers to this every week. But what they always come back to, every single person that I've heard, is that we are not our bodies, we are extensions of God's perfect love. And in that, there is no sickness, there is no cancer. And am I giving more power to my body and the sickness and the illusion, which of course the miracles also teaches us as well, or am I focusing on only the truth? And if I focus on the essence, the true nature of everything, which is only God, only love, then the illusion can't exist. Sickness can't exist in that state of consciousness. So it's really a time of great acceleration. I really encourage us all to take this week, purify, cleanse, forgive. Let the past go. No matter what you think, no matter what reason you think you have to hold on to a grievance, go into this cosmic wave, ready to receive all it has to offer. And it can work a lot better with us and for us if we just clean out all of our debts, all of our past. So it's a great time. We don't have to go into this in doom and gloom. Now, on Facebook this morning, this is what I envision. This is the vision I'm holding, and I ask you to join me in this. Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we all loved and respected each other. Can you imagine? I mean, really. Well, we're doing that here. I think we could all do a little better. I know I can, but I choose to. But just think if we could all create that effect of total love. And if we understood that we are all here as one child of our Creator, and that we're here to serve each other and to love each other and to empower each other and not judge each other. So it's time, rather than if you're politically oriented one way or another, rather than saying that and getting upset over that person's beliefs or this, send that love, just blast them with love. How would God see Donald Trump? Just loves him and says, I love the hair. I created that beautiful hair on that man. And, it's, and so he's a character. And but it's up to us, I think, to be the change that we want to see in the world truly. And to send, first clean ourselves up, and then just be able to share that with the world. So let's co-create, really a powerful cosmic wave. I told Ben yesterday that I was going to be talking about the cosmic wave. He said, I'll bring my surfboard. And so let's have fun, enjoy it, love each other, honor each other. And, in closing, I just want to say that what I would suggest we do this week, stay close to God, live from your heart, offer forgiveness to all. We certainly can't go wrong from there. And remember, peace and love do prevail on earth, and so it is. Namaste.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you